Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Audrey Wiggins. And I'm so happy that she said yes to our interview. How are you doing today?
I am awesome, Caroline. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to get going here. This is great.
Oh, and I'm excited as well because I was first a guest in your show, right? And we can
Yes.
talk about that as well. But
Mhm.
first, I would like to introduce you to the audience, of course. You are a chief brand strategist of Altogether Marketing LLC, and you are a trailblazing entrepreneur since age 15. You specialize in social media, video production, podcasting, and web design while offering hosting and promotional services. You host MWMG TV, an on demand platform for independent content creators, and developed a 4 credit hour online course for barbers and cosmetologists. Difficult word, by the way. A dynamic speaker and trainer, you hold a BA in communications and multiple certifications in business and marketing. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Audrey Wiggins.
Thank you, Caroline. Awesome.
That's you. And you have as your middle name, it says Tech Diva.
Yes. I love technology and business, and so I kind of coined that phrase. It's changed over the years from queen of the digital world. I'm like, I was kind of, way out there. So I just like, let's just do tech diva.
I love that. So let's talk about this. And my first question is, you've been an entrepreneur since 15. What's the one lesson that stayed with you through your do you share that wisdom with others today?
Yeah. I would say the one thing that stayed with me through the years is believing in the product or service that you sell. And that's important because if you don't believe in it, you won't be able to convince or share, even if it has great benefits, with the person on the other side of the table, so to speak.
Yeah, that's so true. And I was thinking about this a lot because I was also selling my whole life, so to say. I loved that as a kid. You started as a kid as well, and then I had difficulties in. So it was easier for me selling other people's products as my own products.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, and that makes sense because when it's our own thing, it's like we're emotionally attached to it. It's like, well, are they going to like what I do? I mean, and I've, that an imposter syndrome pops in, and I've definitely have gone through that.
Wow. Okay, let's have a look at the next question I prepared. So your MWMG empowers independent creators. What inspired you to launch this platform and how can entrepreneurs leverage it for visibility?
Yeah, during that time frame, about 2011, when I first started my first, I didn't even know it was called a podcast. It was all video. I didn't do audio. Everything was almost video programs, and the product that I used was part of a suite of video tools, and so it had its own web TV feature or benefit in there, but it didn't offer that commercial end that businesses really need, that the really solid analytics. It was great, the visuals and all that, came across real professional, but you really need that backside, how can, if people are visiting, how people join, and how you develop, an audience, and that you can actually touch. And so by creating my own network, all the analytics, being able to have your commercials, have people subscribe and be a part of it, and as well as as members, as well as other people can host their shows on there, almost like traditional television in a way, or Netflix, because everything is on demand.
Yes, so you started this in 2011, you said.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the shows, and then about 2019, I broke away and then started the Mason Wiggins Media Group TV, or MWMG. Yeah.
Wow, I love that. So
Mhm.
you were an early bird, so to say, before everyone else.
Yeah, and didn't really realize the power of that at the time, because and sometimes when you are a trailblazer and you get out there first within your circle, because there's always somebody, nothing's new under the sun. but people don't understand it, so they kind of don't believe in you, and they ask hurtful questions, or or comment on what you're doing, and it seems like, and then there's others that see it and like, I want to do that, I want to be on that, and those are your fellow entrepreneurs, yeah, those who really see it and catch that vision of really what you're doing. Because, like I said, nothing new. It's just that it was new in my circle.
Wow, I see what you mean. Yes, we are pioneers and visionaries as well. And I love what you said, that you started a podcast without knowing that it would be named as the podcast, right?
Right. I call it a web show. It was web TV. I had the web show.
Wow. Sounds like you were an inventor at that time.
Thank you.
Oh, I love that. I remember those times when social media came up. No one knew what to do, but we all experimented with that. I was way too shy back then, so I started 1 year ago with my podcast, but the dream was there since 2007 or
Oh,
earlier when I was
wow.
have my own radio show, and
Mhm.
then I found my way, and it's so exciting. So my next question for you is, as a branding expert, what's one mistake businesses often make in building their brand, and how do you help them avoid it?
Yeah, they're kind of shy sometimes about their brand, of putting it out there, and just looking what other people are doing versus looking at, okay, what do I offer? What are the values that I believe in for my company, or what are my company values? And so what does that equal when we say a brand? Because a brand is not just the logo, or having something fancy, and that's, I think sometimes people make a mistake of trying to put too much in a logo, because maybe you offer five things. Well, you can't have five things in a logo, because sometimes it's this big because you're putting it on a big billboard, or sometimes it's this small because it's going on an ink pen, or a business card, or something like that. So to really focus in on what your company represents, and try to put that into the visuals, but also to remember that your brand is also you, and how you talk, and how you show up, and you're an extension of that brand, or your brand is an extension of you. And so always remember, they go together, they go hand in hand.
Wow, I love what you said about extension. That is so true, but I never thought of it that way. It
Mhm.
changes my perspective. Thank you so much. And also the different sizes we have to consider, right? When,
Yes.
when I think, for example, of the Jumbotron in New York at the Times Square or something, and you have your brand displayed there, or you mentioned those little pins or buttons or whatever you use. And there's a difference, right?
Hmm. Yeah, so it has to be recognizable, this big, and recognizable, this big. Yeah.
I love it. I didn't know this because I'm not so much marketing, but I learned so much through this podcast as well. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
With every guest, we grow. We grow. Yes, we extend or expand. It's
absolutely.
wow. So, how about your coaches and mentors? Do you have coaches and mentors for yourself? And who was the best coach you ever had?
Yeah, I do have coaches and mentors, and some years ago, I think maybe in 2016, I had went through this leadership program. I was, still working at the university, and I signed up for that program. And I had a coach and a mentor within that program, and that it really brought me out, because people from the outside can see better or clearer, who you are, or what your potential. And so to have people like that in your life, or in my life, that was very important to get me on the right thought track, because we can think all kind of crazy stuff in our heads when it comes to who we are, and who we think we are, and what other people are thinking. So having a coach and a mentor guiding us along the way is crucial in informing our personalities, within business, and being able to move forward with confidence.
Wow, I love that you brought this up, the word confidence, because
Mhm.
without confidence, we are not moving forward, right? We are too
Right,
afraid or scared.
right, right. Yeah.
So I think we both wouldn't be here without confidence. I
Mhm.
mean, doing what, like showing up in public, doing
Right.
podcasts or TV or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and having our podcast, I mean, like I'm excited, for you and all your hundreds of episodes. I think that is amazing.
Yes, 600 in 1 year, and and I shifted to 2 episodes per day now. It's amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because it doesn't work otherwise, right?
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
message has to go out there. Yes, and I would like to know from you where we can find you. We already mentioned the TV show, but if you have websites or when people want to reach out to you, where can we find you?
Yeah, there's a contact form on my website altogether.biz, altogether.biz, and then fill out that form and ask your questions or you want more information there. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn as well, and most other social channels by my name and also by the business altogether marketing.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing. You inspired me to rethink my last name because I say no one can pronounce or they are afraid to pronounce, but it's easy. And then I say I'm Caroline B, and you see the B in the background, right?
Yeah, yeah. Basowski.
Yeah, besides you trained it as well, but I can also go by Caroline Biz, like for business or busy or
Yes,
something.
yes, I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how about that?
Mhm.
New ideas for the new year, of course. Thank you so much. And my next question is about your goals. Do you set goals for yourself or intentions? And what is one of your next projects?
Okay. Yeah, I do set goals, but one huge thing that's coming up, I had mentioned it in the questionnaire, is that 12/31/24 retired, no more 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, and of course that runs over to 7 at night sometimes. But so I'm relaunching full time, and so this is it's not a start over, but in a way, it's an excuse to celebrate and to do things. So that whole year of 2024, I had started at the top there. Okay, so what can I do to try to start to plant some seeds that still wouldn't take a whole lot of time, because your time is limited and it's definitely precious. So I had created this entrepreneur summit. It's all virtual, and so quarterly they try to start to build some momentum, and I'm still at the beginning of that. I had the 4 quarters this, 24, and ready to launch that first one in January 2025. So excited about that. So that's the main project that I'm working on.
Wow, I love that project. I will follow you, of course. We are
Thank
connected
you.
already. And I put the links in the show notes, of course. And I would like to know from you, what would be your advice for people that want to start their business or their podcast or their TV show or whatever?
Yeah, yeah. Well, along with all of those entities, come up with your purpose. Why are you doing it? Who you want to serve, or who your audience, your avatar is, some people call it, or your right fit client. Who are you speaking to with that podcast or your TV show, or that business, what product or service. So be clear on who you're serving, and and have your product or your skills are honed, but don't look for perfection, because you'll probably will sit on your workbench and keep reworking this thing over and over again. Just look for excellence. Am I doing my best? And put it out there, because once you put something out there, there's say this was the schematic. It is perfect on this piece of paper, right? So once you start building it, and it's like, okay, so I got to do this, and you go back, you may have to adjust your schematic, so to speak, as you go along, but you won't know that unless you launch it. So just launch. Okay, start with whatever that is. Just get out there and do it. Surround yourself with people that can help you. If you don't know anyone, you've got Caroline. She's an expert out there. You've got me, and there's a plethora of information that our grandparents may not have had, with the internet out there, with YouTube channels of the how-tos, and find, we talked earlier about finding a mentor and a coach. You may not be able to afford a coach, or maybe you can find a mentor, and sometimes your mentor may be from a distance, and you're just watching that person doing the thing that you want to do, or you're the start doing. So that's get started, look for perfection, and make your corrections along the way.
Wow, I love that advice. Thank you so much. So you are not alone, or you don't have to do it alone. You can ask for help as well. Just start, and then you can watch other people how they do it and then emulate, I would say. And I
Yes.
have one person in mind. You mentioned it. It all starts with why. When you know your why, then you have your burning desire to keep it going, or to start, and then to be persistent to reach your goals. Yes, we talked about your goals already. Thank you so much for our interview. And now is time for your final thoughts to the audience, please.
Wow, thank you, Caroline. I would say, especially this time of year, to really reflect on who you are, and what you want to do, or be in life. And you may be at the beginning, you may be at a crossroad, and decide, okay, going forward, do I want to do the same thing? And if I am doing the same thing, how can I elevate what I'm doing, help more people, with also helping yourself? Because you do go in business to make money, and that is, you can't get away from that. But at the same time, am I being selfish, or am I really serving? So you always want to think about the service, rather, even if you're selling a widget, the service, that human touch, that communication, the relationships that you have with your folks. So and stay in touch with them, not just at product time, or it's holiday and you're trying to sell something. If you can create a podcast, if you can do a blog, or even a weekly or monthly newsletter, it doesn't have to be huge. Just staying in touch with your base and prospects.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm speechless now and impressed. It's all about connection. This is why I created this podcast, and this is why
Yeah.
we met. Otherwise, we wouldn't have met, and I'm so happy about our connection. Thank
Yes,
you
me
so
too.
much, Audrey Wiggins in the Inspired Podcast.
Thank you.
And see you in the next episode.